In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to draw a Geneva cam. I'm not going to draw the same one that you're assigned in your book, but I will draw an object that's shaped exactly like it, so you can use these techniques. I want to mention a couple of differences. My dimensions that I'm going to be mentioning in this video are much smaller than yours. Your object is dimensioned in metric, mine's dimensioned in inches, so that's the reason for the difference. By the way, there's 25.4 millimeters in an inch. Okay, just an FYI there. So my numbers again will be much smaller than your dimensions. There's nothing wrong with your dimensions, except you do have one error in the given drawing in your textbook. You're given an outside diameter dimension of 73, but it should be a radius dimension of 73. Okay, so make note of that. So my first step that I'm going to do in this construction, I'm going to draw my outside diameter of 8. Okay, well, if your diameter will be twice 73, so your outside diameter will be 146. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you get off on the right start here. So I'm going to start off on my visible layer, and I'm going to draw a circle with a diameter of 8. So I'll type in C, enter. I'll specify the center of my point circle in monospace. Just left click, type in D for diameter, and then type in 8. And now we'll get started. Okay, so I think the first thing I want to do is to switch to my center layer and draw a center mark. Okay, so I'm going to go to the Annotate tab under the Dimensions panel. I'm going to use the dim center or the center mark command right here, and then I will click on the circle and it places a center mark for me. Okay, now what I'll do is you'll notice that you're given some center marks that are angled, so I'm going to use the rotate command to take care of that. So RO, enter, and I want to select the vertical part of the center mark that I just placed, and then enter. And I want to specify my base point. I want to type in CEN to make sure I snap to the center of the given circle. Once I see the center snap light up, I'll left click. Now I want to copy this vertical line, so I want to type in C, enter, and let me type in an angle of 60 and then enter. Okay, I want to do that again, except this time I want to type in an angle of negative 60. So RO, enter. I want to select the vertical part of the center mark that was drawn for me, enter. Specify the base point. I want to type in CEN, enter. And now I want to copy, so I want to type C, enter, and then negative 60, enter. And now we have our center marks that we're going to use. Now there is a circle that is used to line up the circular ends of the slot. Okay, and the one I'm talking about, yours has a diameter of 77. Mine has a diameter of 4.5. So I'm going to type C, enter, and I want to specify the center point of the circle. So I'll type CEN, enter, and I want it to be the same as the center. The center of this circle will be the same as the center of the circle that's already drawn. So I'll left click when I see the center snap, and my diameter needs to be 4.5. Okay. All right. So this is how we're going to start our construction. Now, the AutoCAD has an array command, which is very helpful for duplicating objects. Okay, and what we're going to use for this one is the polar option of the array command, which arrays objects around a center point. Okay, so we're going to create our object with this command in mind. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my Home tab and switch to my visible layer. And I think what I'll do is I'll draw the slots first. Okay, and I think what I'll do is I'll just use this center line and just offset it. Okay, so I'm going to offset it by half the width of the slot. Okay, the width of my slot is 0.75, so I'm going to offset in each direction by half that amount, which is 0.375. So O, enter, 0.375, enter. And I want to offset that to the left and that to the right. Okay, so my width, you might want to check yours. will be 0.75. Your width should be 13, I believe. Okay, so these aren't on the right layer. So let me select those and switch to the visible layer. And now at this intersection where the vertical line and the circle intersect, I need to create a circle on the visible layer. So C, enter, INT, enter. All right, and the circle should have a radius equal to what your offset distance was earlier, which is half of the width of the slot. So I'll type in 0.375, and it should line up just like this. Okay, so now what I want to do, I'm just going to temporarily turn off my center layer to get it out of the way. Okay, and now I want to trim. TR, enter, enter. I turned it off because it's a little easier to trim without all those other lines in the way. Okay. All right. So I'm going to array this object around 6 times. Okay, and because there's 6 slots, so I want to type in AR, enter for the array command, and I want to select these objects, and then enter. And now I want to select a polar array. So I can either type PO or select polar here. So I'll type select polar. And it wants me to specify the center point of the array. So I want to specify the center of the circle. So I'll click there. And now you have an array creation tab that's newly created up here. And it just so happens that mine is set right. Okay, I have 6 items. And the gap between these needs to be 60 for a total fill of 360 degrees. Okay, so for example, if yours isn't set right, you can change these here. Okay, so you can, of course, 4 isn't what we need 6, and we want this to fill the entire circle. That's why there's 360 degrees in the circle, so this is 360 degrees. So if this is 6, 60, and 360, then you're set here. Okay, so you can just close array, or you can just and to exit the array command. Okay, so when you create the array, we haven't gotten into blocks yet, but it kind of creates this all as one object, even though it started off as 2 lines in an arc. All this is one object, which you really don't want. At this point, we want to use the explode command to turn this back into individual objects. So I'm going to select the array and type X and then enter. And it turns that one object back into single objects like it was before. And in fact, even the arrayed objects are in 2 lines in a circle, just like they were originally created. Okay, so let me use the trim command, TR, enter, enter, and I will trim this part away that I don't need. Okay, so now I want to create the arc portion that's on the outside. And let me turn my center layer back on. I think I might be able to use it. Okay. You see that you're given a radius dimension from the center here to the outside of the object. Okay. And what we want to do is to turn our center layer on and draw another circle centered up at the same center point here. And I want to draw mine with a radius of 4.5. Yours will be different. Okay. Now make sure that you have your quadrant snap turned on for this next operation, which is here. Okay. And on my visible layer, I want to draw a circle with the quadrant, with the center of the quadrant here. My radius needs to be 1.5. Yours is going to be different. Okay. And now let me turn off the center layer again, and then I'll trim. TR, enter, enter. Okay. And what I'm going to do now might confuse you just for a second, but I'm going to actually erase these that I've already created, and I'm going to array these, that arc, and this arc around. Okay. So AR, enter. AR, enter, and I want to select this arc, and this arc, and then enter. And I want a polar array. Okay, the center point. Let me turn my my center